December 1944. The Ardennes. The German offensive, Wacht am Rhein, shatters the Allied front. 28 divisions break through American lines. Entire units collapse. The 106th Infantry Division is effectively destroyed. The 101st Airborne is surrounded in Bastogne. The situation is out of control. At headquarters in Verdun, Eisenhower asks one question: who can counterattack? Silence. Then one voice answers: George S. Patton. I can attack with 3 divisions in 48 hours. Some officers laugh. To turn an entire army 90 degrees, through snow, through chaos, under enemy fire, was considered impossible. But Patton was not making a plan. He had already issued the orders. This was not recklessness. This was calculation. And it was not the first time he had done something like this. Because for Patton, this wasn't luck. It was a pattern. Again and again, he made decisions other generals wouldn't even consider. Not because he ignored the rules, but because he understood something deeper. In this video, we break down 5 moments when Patton didn't just win battles, he changed the way war was fought. And it started earlier than most people think. July 1943, Sicily, Operation Husky. The Allied plan was clear. Montgomery's British 8th Army would advance along the eastern coast toward Messina. Patton's 7th Army was assigned a supporting role to protect the flank. Safe, controlled, predictable. Exactly how High Command wanted it. But Patton saw something others ignored: opportunity. The terrain in western Sicily was considered unsuitable for armored movement. Mountains, narrow roads, poor infrastructure. British planners avoided it entirely. Patton chose it. Instead of holding position, he pushed his forces northwest, deep into the island. His officers warned him. Supply lines could collapse. Units could become isolated. The entire operation could fail. Patton didn't slow down. "We are going to Messina." Within 72 hours, his forces captured Palermo, a major strategic city, not even part of his original mission. Italian resistance began to collapse. Entire formations surrendered with minimal fighting. The speed of the advance created confusion the enemy couldn't recover from. Then Patton made another decision. He turned his entire army east. Now it wasn't just an operation. It was a race. Montgomery was still advancing slowly along the coast, building pressure step by step. Patton moved differently. Faster, riskier, unpredictable. On August 17, 1943, Patton's forces entered Messina, hours before Montgomery. Not because he was ordered to, because he chose to. "We're not just going to shoot the bastards. We're going to rip out their guts and use them to grease the treads of our tanks." This wasn't just aggression. This was intent. Patton understood something most commanders didn't. Speed is not just movement. It is pressure. And pressure breaks an army faster than firepower ever could. For the first time, both allies and enemies saw it clearly. This man did not operate like anyone else. But what made Patton truly dangerous wasn't just how he fought. It was how he was perceived. Spring 1944, England. The Allies are preparing for the invasion of France, and across the Channel, German intelligence is watching closely. Hitler is asking one question: where is Patton? Because in his mind, the answer is simple. Where Patton is, that's where the real attack will come. The Allies know this, and they turn it into a weapon. Patton is assigned to command the 1st U.S. Army Group, a massive force that doesn't actually exist. Inflatable tanks, wooden aircraft, Fake radio traffic, an entire phantom army built around one man, and it works. German High Command keeps over 15 divisions near Calais, waiting, watching, preparing for an invasion that never comes, because the real landing happens in Normandy. And by the time they realize the truth, it's already too late. Patton never fires a shot, but he ties down more German forces than entire armies, not with weapons, but with reputation. Because at this point, Patton is no longer just a general. He is a threat the enemy cannot ignore. And soon, he would be given a real army again. August 1944. The breakout from Normandy finally happens. For weeks, Allied forces had been stuck. Progress measured in yards, heavy resistance, high casualties. Then the German line breaks, and this is where Patton gets his chance. On August 1st, his Third Army becomes operational. What happens next changes the pace of the entire war. Most armies would slow down, secure their flanks, wait for supply lines, stabilize the front. Patton does the opposite. He accelerates. His army doesn't advance. It explodes across France. In just 21 days, Third Army covers over 400 miles. To put that into perspective, the entire Normandy campaign before this gained less than 50. Patton does 8 times more in less time. How? By ignoring the rules. No pauses, no consolidation, no waiting. His units move so fast, they outrun their own fuel supply. At one point, tanks are forced to stop, not because of enemy fire, but because they literally run out of gas. So Patton makes another decision. He takes fuel from other units, without asking, because for him, there is only one rule: never stop moving. My men can eat their belts, but my tanks gotta have gas. German commanders begin reporting something unusual. They can't track him. They can't predict him. They don't know where he will strike next. One report describes it perfectly. Enemy movements cannot be predicted. And that's exactly what makes him dangerous. Because war is built on prediction, and Patton removes it completely. He attacks where he shouldn't. He moves when he shouldn't. He pushes when others would stop. And because of that, the German army cannot stabilize the front. By the end of August, Patton has liberated more territory than all other Allied forces combined. And for the Germans, one thing becomes clear. This is not normal warfare. This is something else. December 1944. The Ardennes. The German counteroffensive hits hard. Allied lines collapse. Units are surrounded. Bastogne becomes the critical point. The 101st Airborne is cut off. No reinforcements, no supplies, freezing conditions. High Command is still trying to understand what's happening. Patton already knows, because he prepared for this. Before the German attack even began, he had already ordered his staff to plan 3 possible counterattacks. Different directions, different scenarios. So when the order finally comes, he doesn't start planning. He moves. Entire divisions begin turning north, through snow, through traffic jams, through chaos. Thousands of vehicles, hundreds of tanks, all moving under extreme conditions. In just 72 hours. Patton turns his entire army, something most commanders believed would take weeks. On December 26th, his forces break through to Bastogne. The siege is lifted, and the German offensive begins to collapse. This wasn't luck. This wasn't speed. This was preparation meeting the exact moment it was needed. So here's the question. If you were there, standing in the snow, would you trust a safe order from far behind the lines, or follow the man already moving forward? March 1945. The Rhine, the last barrier before Germany. Montgomery prepares a massive, carefully planned operation. He crosses first, at night, quietly, no build-up, just action. By the time anyone realizes, he's already across. He calls Bradley. "Brad, don't tell anyone, but we're across." No drama, just results. Because for Patton, speed was the weapon. He didn't wait, he acted, and that's what made him different. On the battlefield, he saw opportunities others missed. He moved when others paused. He attacked when others hesitated. And because of that, he changed the tempo of the war. So the question is simple. Was Patton a genius or a risk that never failed? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more.